Delta Airlines posting its best March quarter in its history. I'm joined by Christine Short, Senior VP at Estimize. Good to see you here.
Nice to see you.
So Estimize thought Delta's results would be even stronger than they were. Was the problem really the strong dollar? How much did Delta lose from that?
It sure was. So Delta came in with earnings per share of 45 cents this morning. That did beat the street, but it missed our estimate. We saw the stock trade down slightly in the pre-market. It since has bounced back. But Deutsche Bank came out earlier in the month saying, look, the strong dollar is going to have a bigger impact on the airlines than you think, and it's going to somewhat offset the benefit of lower oil prices. And of course, that's what we saw. Delta said it shaved about $105 million off their revenues, plus the impact of the winter storms. But the big theme in their report was the stronger dollar and what it's doing to international revenues.
And basically, Delta now is going to scale back on international flights. It builds a little bit on the domestic side, but some pretty interesting cutbacks internationally.
Yes, so overall the quarter, they increased capacity by 5%, either by adding seats on planes, using larger aircrafts to travel very popular routes, but that's been mostly domestic. For the rest of the year, they said they're going to scale back on international travel by about 3%, suspending flights to Moscow, and then reducing capacity 15 to 20% to places like Japan and India and some places in the Middle East. So yeah, they're certainly cutting back, but they're going to be adding flights here in the U.S.
At the same time, Delta says it's going to save about $2 billion a year on fuel costs. So I guess that's still not enough to offset.
They said in the long run they do think it's going to offset, especially with drawing down some of the international flights like they are planning on doing. They said that $2 billion should offset the weakness of the stronger dollar, but you have to remember the stronger dollar leads to lower oil prices. So it's sort of a catch-22 where one side of this is taking away from their revenues, the other is in fact adding. So what they're doing is they're trying to hedge against currency headwinds, which I really think is what a lot of companies should be doing, and I think they're taking the right approach here.
I wonder if they're also hedging against the potential for higher oil prices.
I think by a lot of estimates, lower oil prices will be staying with us for 2015, possibly into even 2016. Energy experts say I wouldn't expect to see oil up to $100 a barrel for some time. So I think they're betting on that. They're also betting at some point that the dollar will come down to parity with some of the other currencies and places that they fly to. So I think they're thinking this is going to all even out in the long run, but they're just trying to protect themselves in the short term, to deal with the stronger dollar.
And customers aren't getting any sort of break on ticket prices.
You would think that they would pass on fuel savings to the customer.
You would hope, yeah.
You would hope, but they don't have to, because if you need to take a flight, you really don't have any other choice, and they know that demand is still very high, especially with the consumer having a little more money in their pocket. A lot of this has been going to travel and leisure, and they know that, so they've actually increased prices over the last year.
Christine, what about Delta's report can we take from and say, hey, this is what we're going to hear from the other airlines? What is this sort of a harbinger of?
Next Thursday, April 23rd, is when most of the other airlines come out. So you have international carriers like United and American. I'd expect them to say something, on par with what Delta said today. They share similar flight routes, so you're going to hear that they were impacted by the stronger dollar. But who we like right now in the airline space is the domestic carriers. So your Southwest, JetBlue, Alaska Airlines, they don't have that impact. And they're also the lower price carriers. They've been doing very well domestically. So that's where I'd put my money. Those are the names that we like. But overall, airlines in general, within the S&P 500, profits are expected to expand 170% this quarter versus a year ago. Revenue is only 3%, but it's still a very strong space to be in.
Christine Short, Estimize, good to talk to you.
Nice speaking with you.
I'm Rhonda Schaffler for TheStreet.